Hopefully, everybody can see and hear me as we are starting once again our creative checkup. I had to think for a second. The coffee hasn't really soaked in right now. I have my coffee mug here, so hopefully, I can get things rolling. My name is Alan C. Paul. If you're joining me right off the bat, we are I am the founder, say we are, the global we. I am the founder of God and Gigs, a creative coach and author and musician. And this is our moment to kind of just get the creatives together in the middle of the day. Monday is unofficially, the musician's day off, the creative's day off. A lot of us had busy weekends and busy things going on, whether we had church, online church, gigs, all kinds of things going on. And even if we are not doing those things right now, we've still probably had a very tough mental weekend because you got so many things going on in your life that you have to take care of and balance. And so that's why always want to come in on a Monday as someone that wants to support you, somebody that wants to, help you to be your best creative self from the inside out. So we talk about relationships, we talk about faith, we talk about career goals, we talk about strategies, we talk about anything that could help musicians, creatives, and faith-focused freelancers to build a better life from the inside out. So that's really what we're all about here. I am so grateful for all of you who have been part of this God and Gifts community for years now. We're kind of celebrating I would say this is kind of like our 5th year of existence and our 4th year having materials like the God and Gigs book, which we have recently made a little sale out of. We're doing a sale on the God and Gigs book, as well as our devotional, Your Art, God's Heart, and our study guide, all that stuff you see right behind me over here. All that's available. I'll talk a little bit more about that offer in a minute because that's a really cool offer that we're trying to let everybody get anything you can that's going to help you to be encouraged right about now. Like, that's my goal. My goal is to help encourage you. My goal is to try to keep our heads up, keep positive, not to lose sight, and not to get so discouraged because of everything that's hit us in the last 6 months. And I had a talk. I'm going to do a lot of kind of sneak peeks today in regards to future content. Some content that I'm going to talk about today basically is ready to go, but it's not yet in the library. It's not yet in the God and Gigs podcast. It's not out yet. But I'm going to basically be giving you kind of sneak peeks of what we're going to be talking about for the next 2 or 3 weeks or months, because this issue is not going away and we need to deal with this internally, I think, as artists now. I've talked a lot about what's going on the outside, but now we got to talk about what's going on the inside. Hey, Kirsten, good to see you here on Instagram. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube. So if you're joining us on any of those platforms, make sure you say hi, make sure you comment. As a matter of fact, just make sure you tell me where you're watching from, because maybe you're watching on from work. You got your 9 to 5 and that's still going on. Praise God, you still got your regular job. Maybe you're like me, mostly self-employed. So you're watching from home and you're maybe working on something at home. Maybe you're watching in the studio, from your practice room, from like me, I'm in my home office. Wherever you're watching from kind of gives me a sense of like what you're doing, what you're about, like how you're navigating on a Monday in the middle of this craziness. So much negative news coming through. Okay, Kirsten, you're working from home. Awesome. So yeah, you know the drill. I think what do we call it now? It's WFH, working from home now. That's the new anagram, the new acronym. So we are all too used to this lifestyle now. But I think again we have to really get real today and for the next few weeks and the next few months about how this is affecting us internally, emotionally. Kirsten, from Metro, we've been talking a lot about emotional health. And I think the creators that I've talked to in the last 2 or 3 days, months, let's say more like the last 2 weeks, have really forced me to focus. As you hear the doorbell ring to my hope, I'm not missing out on anything. I need to really focus on what we're feeling. I've done a lot of work in the last few weeks on, practical things, career things we can do. But if you're working or not working, if you're gigging or not gigging, if you're finding creative projects or not finding creative projects, whatever's happening, you've got to deal with what's on the inside, both from the faith perspective and from a mental health perspective. And I think that starts with being authentic about what we are really feeling. I've had a conversation with my great friend Jay Mills. He's going to be one of the guys on one of the podcasts coming up very soon. Possibly this week, I'm not sure, but I want to give it away. But I do want to tell you that this is a podcast you need to subscribe to. God and Gig Show, the God and Gig Show. Please subscribe to that because the stuff Jay Mills shared is what I feel like I'm sharing today and what a lot of us are feeling. And it's the what now, the what next feeling. It's like so much has hit us, and it felt like, okay, we got through March. We made it through April. We made it through May. Somehow we made it through June. After all the craziness came back into Florida, at least we had a big spike in June. And then July hits, and okay, what's going on? And then we're now in August, heading into September. Oh, lost my camera on Facebook. Give me 1 second. We'll have to go around Instagram. Oh, there we go. Got back. Awesome. So, what we have to deal with is the realization that we're going through stages right now. We're going through stages, what I would say almost as the stages of grief. We're going through denial. We've gone through denial. A lot of people said, okay, COVID's not real. The pandemic's going to disappear overnight. And then we got to, what's the next step? I think is anger. And there was a lot of anger in the creative community about how things were being cut off. No gigs, no ability to tour. And then we got to bargaining. I'd say a lot of people were trying to figure out, okay, I'll go out once or twice, I'll wear a mask, I'll do this, or maybe I'll bargain with, the whole COVID situation. Well, we'll shut it down for now, but then we're going to come back strong in a month or so. And then I would say we're probably a lot of people hitting right now is depression, because it's been 6 months. And again, I'm no virologist, no expert, no doctor, but I think all of us have started to feel the writing on the wall, see the writing on the wall, that this is now a long-term, we're talking a year, generationally type thing, generational moment, not just a blip on the radar. This is something that our children and we will be talking about for years to come, because it is now something that's a new reality that we cannot shake, cannot get away from. So what I wanted to get to, I know Instagram, you can't see my screen, but one of these days I'll learn how to share my screen on Instagram. The first thing I want to share with you, and this is again a little bit of a teaser to the podcast. You got to check it out. Make sure you subscribe to the God and Gig Show on any podcast network you listen on. The first thing I want to share with you is this point, and it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay, and I know that's something that you've heard maybe in a mental health capacity, but I want to say specifically to the creatives. You should not feel like you should have gotten over this by now. It's okay to not have a understanding of what's next, to feel a little lost. If you had lost your source of income, and even if you regain some source of income, but then it's a totally different way of doing it. If you've been used to working live performance, and now everything you do is live stream and online. If you were used to working in an office and now you're only working from home. The kids are going back to school, teachers. If you've been used to teaching in person and now everything you do is in front of a Zoom screen with a virtual classroom, or maybe you're doing music lessons. It's okay not to be okay with that. And the reason I want to make sure you understand that is because I think some people think that, again, it's a little bit of an unfair assumption, but some people think, okay, if you're strong in your faith and you just soldier on and you block it all out and you keep moving, you keep working and everything is okay. But maybe not. Maybe it's okay to admit that you're feeling it and it's not getting better. It may be depression. Maybe we call it the blues. Maybe we call it just anxiety. But I know that I felt some low days in the last few weeks. And even though I'm really working hard to be a good example of people staying positive, I have to be honest and say, yeah, there are days that I just don't feel like pushing through. And that's okay. And I think we need to be honest with each other, especially now that we're going into the second, I guess, half of the year, or really into the second half of the year, where we're going to have to navigate yet another season of dealing with the pandemic and dealing with how do we adjust to this new reality that we're all doing. And so you might have adjusted in May, you might have adjusted in June, but it's going to require continuous adjustment. Hey, how you guys doing on Facebook and on Instagram? I see you guys joining. Thanks so much for joining me. We're talking about uncertainty. And I want to ask you, if anything, what's the one thing that has thrown you off the most? What are you uncertain about right now? If you can put that in the comments, that will help me know that I'm tracking, at least that you're following along, that this is making sense. What is the thing that you are most uncertain about? Is it the job? Is it about your mental health? Is it your kids or your family or school? What's the thing that like you had trouble figuring out and you're asking yourself, what now? What next? It could be, should I move forward with my own creative projects? It could be, do I even have a job? Where do I go forward? Do I go back to a 9 to 5? Try to find a 9 to 5. What's the thing that you're saying you're not sure? It's a what now, what next situation for you. Because if you can put that in the comments, it'll help me direct, because I want to continue. But we always go to about 2:30, I should say, 12:30 if you're Mountain Time, 11:30 Pacific Time. So I'd love if you share that in the comments, just so I know where you're at. As I check around a little bit, let me take a quick look at YouTube. Yeah, we're good. Everybody is up. So I'm going to go to the next point. And this is where I really feel I need to reach out to you as a professional, as a musician, as an artist. We need connection. And I believe that this pandemic, one thing that has really messed up is our source of connection with each other and our audiences. Because even though I know you're able to see each other online, we see each other right now, I know a lot of us are starving for connection with our audiences and with each other. And that's something that we thrive on as creatives. The Bible has a verse that talks about that deep calls out to deep, right? Birds of a feather flock together. You've heard that phrase. When us creatives are not able to interact and stay connected with each other because the routine has been shaken up, we're going to feel it. And there's got to be a lot more intentional connection for the next few weeks if we're going to be able to beat uncertainty. Because one of the things that we're most uncertain about is, how do I keep moving and keep thinking and keep positive if I feel like I'm all by myself? If everything is like going back and forth and I'm in this place that I don't really feel comfortable, am I alone? And I want to ask you, have you felt alone? Have you had that kind of moment where you're like, okay, I see everybody's online, everybody's tweeting, everybody's selling their music, everybody's trying to get out there and do the thing and do tracks and create their business, but that's not necessarily connection. That's activity. The difference between activity and connection, in my view, is activity is based on more just staying busy and doing things. Connection is based on being someone and letting somebody into your world. So I want to be very clear about this. It's okay to stay active. You should stay active. If you're uncertain, you shouldn't just ball up and stop. But when you're feeling uncertain about what the future holds, it's more important to get connected than to simply do things to do things. Busy. Some people are, we've said this for many, again, a little cue from the podcast. When you check that out, go to godandgigs.com/category/podcast, or Apple people, you just go to godandgigs.com/Apple, and you can subscribe it on Apple Podcast. But what we said is that a lot of us creators, we don't like to think about ourselves because we stay so busy, we don't ever take a chance to examine what's in the inside. And connection allows us to do that. So the first thing I would say to beat uncertainty is that you have to stay connected and let people into your world outside of your gig life, outside of your creative life. And just make sure you have a church or a pastor or a circle of friends that you can decompress. If you're going to have to do it outside, if you have to do it virtually, whatever you have to do, don't lose that connection, because that is life to a creative. Without that, you're going to feel that isolation and you're going to feel that uncertainty creep up on you. And that's why I believe, even in terms of church, those of us who are going to church, I know virtual church is a thing, but my church, we've been going online for a while. I mean, online. We've been going physically for a while as well as online. And you need that connection. So if that resonates with you, just type connect in the set, connect, because you got to stay connected. If you don't have that connection, the uncertainty kind of creeps up on you, the fear creeps up on you. And even if you've been making it okay, you start to lose your sense of the identity, and it's really hard. So I don't want to sugarcoat that. I'm working on hopefully doing a connection event very soon. We used to call them spiritual sheds down here in South Florida. We did them live. And I would love to start that up again. I'll make an announcement. You might want to subscribe to our mailing list. Go to godandgigs.com and just sign up for our mailing list there. We're going to announce very soon an event where we'll be able to connect everyone in virtually, obviously, but where we can work together to really focus our minds on what we need to do together, how we can stay connected together. I've seen webinars all over the place. I've seen that, but I want to make sure that I'm doing my part. So maybe if you have, a good crew around you that's keeping you supported, that's great. But if not, I want to be a part of the solution. So we're going to be starting that very soon. So check out godandgigs.com and look for updates. So secondly, this is something I felt I need to share. Anybody out there has ever started from zero, like everything fell apart and you had to start over? This is honestly, because we're talking about the anniversary of God and Gigs. This is honestly where I feel like I've been a little bit, I haven't really been honest, because a lot of people assume that I just had this business idea for God and Gigs a long time ago, and I just knew it was going to work. And that's not true. I actually started this God and Gigs idea in the middle of a situation like this, where we were kind of basically in between houses. My income had been cut. My wife's income had been cut. And we really had no solutions for everything. So we were really just living out of a two-bedroom apartment with 4 people, kids sleeping on couches. We had really nothing. And so me writing this book 4 years ago really came out of a desperate time. And I knew I needed to serve and needed to write, but it wasn't a business idea necessarily that I knew exactly what to do. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to understand that whatever you're doing now, even if you got to start from the bottom all over again, and you're uncertain about how to move forward, starting from zero can be a plus. Why? Because it opens everything up. There's nowhere to go but up. You might feel uncertain because you don't know when gigs are coming back. You don't know what job to start on. You don't know what to start next. But it's actually a good thing. When you're locked into a bunch of things that cannot be changed or is rigid, you can feel stuck that way. So there's 2 different ways you can feel stuck. You can feel stuck. Hello, Eileen. Thanks for joining us. Gene, thanks for joining us, man. So you can feel stuck in so many different ways. But I would prefer to be stuck where there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of open doors, and a lot of ways I could go, than be stuck where everything is kind of blocked and I'm already been in a job for hundreds of years and feel like I can't do anything different. I've been doing the same thing over and over again. So I would say to you, starting from zero is a plus as a creative if you're uncertain. Pulling everything down, saying, okay, we have to start from square one. That's actually a good thing, because that's honestly where God and Gigs came out of. It came from starting from square one. Nothing was already built. It was just, let's start working. Let's start trying things. And year after year after year, it became more clear what I needed to do, but it wasn't based on a plan that I knew would work. It was starting from zero. And some of us that are uncertain about our creative careers, we're going to have to start from zero again. But that's a good thing, again, because it may be that, starting from zero actually is the opening to do your next best thing. And your creatives, guys, especially musicians who are used to playing for gigs and performing all the time, I know this is a tough one. I'm not trying to answer the question for you. I'm just trying to say that don't assume that you have to come up with the grand plan. Maybe you just have to start with the small steps. Maybe it is just trying to find, work for now. But in the meantime, starting from zero actually can be a good thing. And so now I want to ask you, if you are starting from zero, sorry about that, guys. Got a long guy right outside, so I hope you guys don't hear all that. You have to find someone to serve. Because if you're uncertain about what the future holds, I can tell you honestly, the first way to get out of that uncertainty is to find someone that needs you more than you necessarily need them. You need to find someone that you can pour into, someone that you can work with and work for in terms of helping them, not necessarily work for as an employee. But find a way that you can work toward serving someone, and that might be your audience. It just might be, okay, I need to serve my audience more, so I'm going to have to put out some more music because my audience needs to hear more music. Or it might be that you need to serve your church. Or maybe I have my best friend, my musical partner, Lavi. She works at a homeless shelter to help, and she says she's never felt more fulfilled. Even though she's not singing as much, we just did a live stream show the other day, but she said that's kind of gravy. It's so great to be able to be creative again, but her giving back to her community through helping this homeless shelter is actually more fulfilling. She feels that's more of a purpose, which is crazy for maybe a creative to say, but maybe finding someone to serve will help you out of your uncertainty. Because that's when you can find those moments and those things that really, put your passion in perspective, if that makes sense. So if you put your passion in perspective, you can then say to yourself, okay, I don't know exactly what's next or what to do next, but I do know these people need me and I need to show up for them. And you can start making decisions based on who you're serving versus just what's, the next thing that you think might be coming down in terms of dealing with the pandemic. Okay, so we talked about staying connected. We talked a little bit about that in the last couple of episodes before. When the Creative Checkup, we talked about our book. And there goes the lawnmower again. Perfect timing, right? Anyway, let me continue because I don't want to get distracted. Oh yeah, I want to say this quickly. Don't be afraid to fail. Because once again, one of the issues we have as creatives is that we want everything to kind of make sense. We say we want to be kind of outside the plan, but we don't. We really want to have the plan set in place. And so what I'm asking you to do is to make sure that you have your mindset open to the fact that things may not work out. But if you continue moving forward, if you don't give up, and I know it sounds cliche, but it's true, especially now, the first idea may not work. The second idea may not work. The third project might not work. The music might not work. Selling might not work. Doing lessons might not work. But don't be afraid to give it an action, because what I just learned in another seminar I was a part of, another great marketing group, I'll share it with some of you guys if you're interested, is you have to focus on imperfect action. Imperfect action is better than inaction. Imperfect action. You don't know what's going to work, but doing something is the first step to getting out of that uncertainty, even if you have no idea what that one thing is. And so I want to kind of top it off with this, because we're kind of sharing about doing something, taking some action. I want to kind of make sure I put this in here, that we're doing a sale on my digital resources, all of my books, all of the God and Gigs books, the study guide, the Your Art God's Heart devotional, and then 2 other guides called Break Through the Block, was a short little 10-page worksheet, kind of a step-by-step workbook to get out of creative blocks and writer's block, and also 5 Steps to Focus Freelancing, which is to help you, a workbook to help you do your best work every day by setting up routines that work for you. And all 5 of these resources are now available, but only today. Let me show you a couple of them. These obviously these are the paperbacks. Again, it's our anniversary book sale. So this is our Guide and Gigs book, and this is our Guide and Gigs study guide. You can get these digitally. It'll be available Kindle, iBooks, and PDF for both of these. Well, this is only on a PDF, but you don't really need this on the Kindle because you need to write on it. And so then we also have our devotional, Your Art God's Heart, and then 2 other resources, 5 resources. All of those only for $11. I cut the prices basically in half. If you put them all together and added them up, they'd be around $20, $23. So we cut it in half. And now I'm asking you, if you need to take action, I'd ask you to go to guideandgigs.com/library. Check out these resources. Get them before the deadline is over, because after that, I got to put everything back to pre-sale conditions, and I can't bundle it like that all the time because it actually took a lot of work to put all the bundle together and make sure you could get all the files, and so I can't keep it like that. It has to be different products, and so this bundle will only last up till midnight tonight. So if you're watching this now and you haven't gotten the Guide and Gigs book or the Guide and Gigs study guide or Your Art God's Heart or 5 Steps to Focus Freelancing or Break Through the Block, and on top of that, I'm also doing a personal coaching session for those of you who buy. I'll send you a link. You can sign up for a personal coaching session where you can get 30 minutes of coaching on anything you need to help you break through this uncertainty, think things through, set some goals, work on how you can move forward. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. I see Michael Valentine just joined us on Instagram. So these are all things that you can use to move forward. So guideandgigs.com/library. There's a link, Instagram folks. There's a link in that profile. You can go there right now. Tap on the top picture. It will take you to that offer. Again, 5 resources, all for just $11. Again, the book itself usually goes for 10 or 11, so I've literally just made everything else free. And I'm just trying to get as much into your hands as possible, and that's why I did digital, because I know some people like the physical book. You can always order the physical book at guideandgigs.com/books, but this is a digital version, and it's everything. Kindle version, iBooks version, PDFs. Every single way that you could look at this book or read these books or use these materials, I'm handing it to you because I want you to get out of this uncertainty. I want you to not be caught in the quicksand of not knowing what to do next, and the emotional quicksand of how do I move forward? Do I even have a gig anymore? Do I even have a creative life anymore? You've got to get back connected to your identity, your purpose, your faith, your motivation, your passion to create is all based on these principles that we talk about in all these resources. Staying consistent, working every day, making sure your faith is connected, making sure you have a plan for your creative life. Your musicians, you're going to love the Guide and Gigs book because it's all about you guys who work both in church and in gigs, and it has so much to do with mindset more than it does actually getting gigs, because we all know the gig situation has changed so much. So guideandgigs.com/library up till midnight. After midnight, I take the links down. I'm actually going to be doing a whole reworking of a lot of this stuff, so that's why I'm doing a last effort to give you guys everything you can before I have to take it down and start reworking a lot of stuff. And so the book will not really be available for a second, and I didn't want that to happen while you guys were going through this, so I wanted to make sure you got that right away. Okay, so that is our creative checkup for today. Thanks so much for joining us. If you've been watching Instagram, thanks for joining me. Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for joining me. You guys are amazing. I hope that this has encouraged you. Again, if you're dealing with uncertainty, make sure you find someone to serve. Stay connected with other creatives, and don't be afraid to fail, okay? Start from zero, even if you have to kind of clear the road. Say, okay, no rules, no preconceived notions. I'm just going to start and just look at what's next. Talk to some people, look at my situation, but be positive about it. I could probably just put it as the last thing. Be positive. God is still with you. We still need your creativity, and we're going to deal with these issues again. Please subscribe to the podcast, because I couldn't really go deep into any of these issues, but we talked about three or four interviews that are coming up that are going to deal with these issues. You need to check these out. Please subscribe to Guide and Gigs Show, the Guide and Gigs Show, on all podcast networks. And if you want that link right there, those of you who are on Facebook, on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube, you can go to guideandgigs.com/Buzzsprout, It actually is it's not the website itself, but it does give you access to pretty much all the different links you could join. Apple and Google Podcast and lots of other apps that I don't even know their names, but all of those particular apps are available if you go to that gottogigs.com/buzzsprout.com. And if you're interested in podcasting, I could also recommend Buzzsprout to you. That's what we use. It's a great podcast network. You can go to gottogigs.com/buzzsprout if you're interested in starting your own podcast. But I really thank you again for listening. I hope that you guys got something out of this. I didn't. I'll check the chat one more time if there are any questions. But I'm past time. Oh no, I'm right on time. It's 2:30. So if I have any other questions, anything like that, always feel free. If you didn't ask them now, you can chat if you're watching this on the replay, or send me an email at alan@gottogigs.com. I'm always going to reply to the emails. I'm always going to let you know that I'm doing my best to serve you, and this is what we're about here. So once again, you guys, it's about 2:30. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. But thank you for joining me on this creative checkup once again. Today is the last day for the gottogigs.com/library. Let me get this going here. Sorry. gottogigs.com/library is the last day to get the anniversary book sale. 5 books. Gottogigs succeed. Can't talk. Succeed as a musician without sacrificing your faith. Your Art, God's Heart, the devotional, the Guide and Gig Study Guide, which goes along with it, available PDF, so you can answer the questions that go along with the book. Also, Faith Focused Freelancing, 5 steps to focused freelancing, I should say. And Break Through the Block, which is our guide to helping you break out of creative blocks. Short little read, less than like 10 minutes, but it will do a world of good if you're feeling stuck and don't know what to write next or what to do next. So all those are available, gottogigs.com/library until midnight, and then that comes down. So I'm going to share this, make sure that nobody misses out. I told you real clear right here, that bundle is coming down, and then I'm going to be reformatting everything. So those books will not be available for a minute. So you want to get it while you have a chance, okay? God bless you guys. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have an amazing day, safe day, and we'll see you next Monday, 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific, on the Creative Checkup. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Take care.